And now click on the latest intro for the show. Hit it.
Welcome to Captain's Quarters Podcast. Here we are. Almost said Codpast. I've only had 2 sips of rum, ladies and gentlemen. 2 sips, that's it. We are trying a few new things tonight. Cheers to Davey Longwood, Hellfire Henley, and Mandy Joe out there in Utah.
Cheers.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, how do you find our show? That's very simple. We want you to go to YouTube, and you can find our show at YouTube and be a part of our show.
Mandy.
All we want you to do is click on the QR code, click on the like, the follow, and the little bell so you'll get our little ringer there and it'll tell you when we're doing our show. Every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're out on the West Coast, well, I believe that's either 6 or 5 depending on the time change. But if you don't get to watch us live, ladies and gentlemen, you now have the link, and that means then you can go the very next day and watch any of our other 99 episodes after tonight. This is our 99th episode. Next week, during Talk Like a Pirate Week, Talk Like a Pirate Day, we will be entering our 100th episode. So that's a good thing. We want to share that with everybody. One of the other things that is going to be different, you might notice we have figured out how to take care of the echo. I am tethered with a wire earpiece right now, and I can barely move without pulling it, so I won't be doing a whole lot of moving if I can. If I do, aye. But everybody else is in earpieces and headsets, and we do believe that has taken care of the problem that has always cropped up with other people saying, hey, what are you doing? So I think we've got it taken care of. So we hope that people will be watching the show and joining us, because at the guest segment of the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it is an open forum. We're just going to ask some questions, talk to people, any of our followers and all of our listeners, and see who's paying attention and who's part of the show. You might have a great idea for us, and we want to talk about it. And as always, we want to always mention our sponsors. So our overall total show sponsor is the Pirate and Treasure Museum, and they are our big sponsor. For now, though, we always go into our first segment and show some honor to 8 Bells. 8 Bells is the honor we give to those celebrities of any stature or family members or pirates in our community that we know of that have passed away in the last week. Davey, Mandy, what do we have? 8 Bells is sponsored by the Riker family of reenactors. Ladies and gentlemen, they are reenactors and pirates and Renaissance. They cover the gambit, and they are a part of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers. Thankfully, very, very good crew members and very supportive. So we always like to give them a shout out. On that note, what do we have for 8 Bells? Larry Chance was an American musician and the lead singer of the popular 1960s doo-wop group Larry Chance and the Earls, originally known as the Earls. In '62, the Earls' single Remember Then was a national hit. He was 82 years old, ladies and gentlemen. John Stevenson was a British screenwriter who between '76 and 2006 was a regular writer on Britain's longest-running soap opera, Coronation Street. Other series he wrote for included The Last of the Baskets, Nearest and Dearest, How's Your Father, The Brothers McGregor, and Old Dr. Beechin. He was 86 years old. Lisa Lyon was an American female bodybuilder and photo model who is regarded as one of the female bodybuilding pioneers, my apologies. Lyon was inducted into the IFBB Hall of Fame in 2000 for being a one-woman media relations activist on behalf of the sport and elevating bodybuilding to the level of fine art. In creating the Marvel Comics character Elektra, Frank Miller initially used Lyon as a basis for the character's appearance. She was 70 years old. Stanley Lee Whitey, Von Nieda Jr. was an American professional basketball player and coach. Up until his death, he was the oldest living National Basketball Association player. He turned 100 on June 19th at 22. He was the first NBA player to reach 100 years of age, and thus the longest-lived NBA player in history. He was 101 years old. And this, ladies and gentlemen, 9/11. Today is 9/11, and it's 22 years since that catastrophe, that disaster, that invasion of the United States of America by outside forces struck. And we lost people in New York, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. at the Pentagon. Many people in the United States, no matter where you were at, remember what you were doing when this happened. This is one of those events in our lives that had happened, like the JFK assassination. You'll remember the day. And ladies and gentlemen, you can actually bow your head with us, raise your glass with us, and we give thanks and memory and honor to all of our 8 bells, including the over 2,000 people that perished in 9/11. 8 bells. And those of you that don't know, 8 bells was the historical significance to when men were buried at sea, both Navy and pirate, and that's why we call it 8 bells. And it is a very solemn moment of our show, and we hope that everybody else will be a part of it. Interesting 9/11 stat, 343 fire department personnel died on 9/11. Today, 60 of their children are officers in the New York Fire Department. That's a pretty cool stat. Thank you, Jim, for that one. I like that one. So, let's see. What's next? Joke of the week with Mini Mayhem. But first, let's take that question. Question, favorite magic trick, and sorry about last week's internet. Got it fixed, thank God. We'll cover that in our guest section when we're talking to all of our people, all of our friends, all of our fans. But for now, let's have Mini Mayhem step up. He's lost.
Ahoy, mates. Mini Mayhem here with the joke of the week. Sponsored by Shiver Me Pictures. How did the pirate afford such a big ship? Think about it, and I will give you the answer at the end of the show.
Very cool. How did the pirate afford such a big ship? That'll be good. And Shiver Me Pictures, Scarlett Deerheart, she will be here next week sitting in that chair with me. And that will be something for us to have a good time on, because her birthday is actually Talk Like a Pirate Day. We're doing the show the night before Talk Like a Pirate Day, but she'll be here for the show, and maybe she'll be here for Tuesday night. The St. Augustine Swashbucklers will be going out on a passenger party ship on the Matanzas Bay to celebrate Talk Like a Pirate Day, and that ship is being provided by one of our other sponsors. That would be Florida Water Tours, and we'll talk about them in just a little bit. On that note, I believe, quote of the week. What do we have for quote of the week? The average man will bristle if you say his father was dishonest, but he will brag a little if he discovers that his great-grandfather was a pirate. Bernard Williams. Why, of course, anybody in our past, good or bad, we should brag about, because without their actions we might not be here, good or bad. So that's a good one. Very good. I like that one. And that was sponsored by Spyglass Travel, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want a really good tour of St. Augustine, I mean a great tour of St. Augustine, a walking tour of St. Augustine, the oldest city in the nation, contact my friends at Spyglass Travel. They're happy to accommodate you and give you exactly what you'd like, teaching you, showing you, sharing with you the history of St. Augustine. It is classified, or they have been listed, as one of the 10 top walking tours in the entire United States. Very good for them. Very proud to be friends with them. Aye. And question of the week. When we get to talking to everybody, the question of the week is pretty much for everyone. Question of the week is, what has been your favorite part Oh, it's sponsored by our friends at Ancient City Sirens. Yes, we don't want to forget them. Ancient City Sirens is Miss Gina Marie. I consider her one of the top belly dancers in the entire world, not just because she's a friend, and ladies and gentlemen, she sponsors Question of the Week, which is, what is your favorite part of the show ever been over the last 99 plus episodes? We'd like to hear what you have to say, because we're using this episode to talk about the possibilities of where do we go, what's on the horizon for the St. Augustine Swashbucklers. So join us, if you will, in that question and answer period when it comes to the guest segment of our show. I think I need another swig of rum. By the way, the rum tonight, ladies and gentlemen, where's my bottle? Is right here. I am once again drinking the Kraken Golden Spice rum, something new they put out, and it's quite tasty. If you haven't tried it, make sure you're onto it. We'll be sending out more information on rum that we like over the shows that we do, especially if we do a rum show, like Ron Don Brown was out here several weeks ago. So, crew adventures completed. I'm going to tell you, we don't have a whole lot, but I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me on Sunday. I got a chance to meet a very cool guy. He is Chef Jason Smith of the Food Network, and he wrote a book. He was doing a cooking seminar in the Colonial Oak on Sunday, and I went over and sat and watched. He's quite humorous. He's quite entertaining, and we got one of his books, and he autographed it for Kara, because Kara loves cooking books, and he did nanner pudding out of this, but there's several other things in this book that are just wonderful, wonderful things, and he's now following us, and we're following him, and it's always nice to use social media for what it's made for, and that is connections to help people do whatever it is they do. I'll give you a little hint. We actually had a brief conversation about the possibility of Chef Jason Smith coming back to St. Augustine right around the time of what happens in February. Oh yeah, Old City Pirate Fest, ladies and gentlemen. So we may have him here doing something along food lines that might have something to do with, like, pirates. I mean, there's a great recipe in here in this book, ladies and gentlemen, a great recipe in this book for bourbon chicken, bourbon fried chicken. If the chef is watching me tonight, what says we can't make it rum fried chicken? Just a thought, but it might be kind of fun. So, ladies and gentlemen, a shout out to Chef Jason. It was a pleasure to meet you if you're watching tonight, or if you catch the show later on. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I hope that we cross paths quickly again, because I think there's some great opportunities for both of us. If you didn't get one of these books, you can go on, I guess it's Amazon. I should have looked that up, but it's produced by or published by Pelican Publishing, so look that up if you like, and get one of his books. It's great. There's a lot of pictures in it. There's all kinds of things in here that you'll want to see and try. And I mean try, because there's some great stuff in there. On that note, as I said, I'm tethered to the computer by a wire tonight. That will be fixed over the next week. But for now, how about Crew Adventures on the horizon? The one most immediate, ladies and gentlemen, is Ancient City Con. And I will be doing a seminar on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. It is called The Genesis of Your Inner Character. It's kind of a way for us to have a question and answer time to talk about creating a character, becoming a character or costumed creator of your persona. The seminar will share 50 years of my acting and creation and building on of an entertainment career. There is a $5 admission per person, but I want everybody to get a little extra out of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, every $5 admission, I have a free gift for everybody that comes out and joins me on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. A free gift for everyone that buys that admission ticket. And I'm going to give you a raffle ticket. And you can see at the bottom there, we have a Zoom Q2N-4K Zoom 4K podcast camera or video camera. You can use it for whatever you want. One person is going to be the lucky recipient of that camera. Compliments of Captain Mayhem and the Captain's Quarters podcast. So, come on out. We'll be there all day Friday, all day Sunday, and Saturday. And you'll want to go to ancientcitycon.com and see all the celebrities that are out there. Go look. There's a bunch of people. There's some celebrities from Star Trek, Voyager, and what's the other movie? Gosh, now all of a sudden I can't think of it. But a lot of celebrities, a lot of cartoonists, a lot of anime. Ancient City Con has been a real fun one for us to be a part of, both the Mayhem, the Swashbucklers, and now the podcast. We'll be in the lobby, ladies and gentlemen. Much easier for you to find us. We're in the lobby. Come by for Saturday afternoon from 1 to 6 and Sunday afternoon from noon till 4. We'll have our camera set up, and we'll be doing some video clips, video captures, with anybody that wants to say something or be a part of our podcast, and we'll probably use that on the next Monday night, which is September 18th. So if you want to be a part of our show, actually, physically, visually, verbally, like, come on out and be a part of our show. Come out to Ancient City Con and join us there. We'll probably have some things for offer up to trade and barter, costuming and things that you might need if you want to do some pirating on your own. But come on out, ladies and gentlemen. $5 for our seminar at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And just come out and hang out. Take pictures with us. We'd love to have you out there. On that note, I think we can move along. One more thing. We've got 2 banners. Let's talk about Spooktacular and sponsorship. Ladies and gentlemen, Spooktacular 2023 is around the corner. And if you'd like to be a sponsor of our event, we have a $200 sponsor. It says 13 available, but I believe there are now 10 available. We've already sold 3. But you'll get your logo on any scene in the event. We have 13 scenes. You will get 2 free admission tickets, company name on the website. Your discount card or info will be placed in the gift bags to be given away at the end by every guest that attends. We plan on making at least 1,000. I'd hope to give away more than 1,000, but we're going to make 1,000 to start with and see how it goes. The event is on Friday night, the 27th, 28th, and 29th of October. It is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it is in the Colonial Quarter. If you'd like to be a Crypt Keeper sponsor, that's a $500 sponsorship, and we have 4 available. We may have already sold 1. Your logo on the welcome and exit signs at the gates, 4 admission tickets, your logo on our website, your name on the event t-shirt, which I'm going to show you in just a few minutes, your discount card info or whatever you want to place in the gift cards to promote your business, and logo on the ad cards and or posters that are going out. And those will start going out this weekend because we plan on having posters and information about Spooktacular at Ancient City Con. That way we can start promoting. But we've got a new project as part of Spooktacular this year. We've come up with a really cute t-shirt. And if you'd like to have one of those t-shirts, that's the logo right there in the front. It'll be a orange shirt, ladies and gentlemen, and that logo will be right on there. So it'll look like the whole shirt's kind of like a pumpkin. St. Augustine Swashbuckler Spooktacular, the Crypt Keeper sponsors will be on it. It's a $21 charge for the shirt. If you need a 2XL or a 3XL, there's obviously an upcharge. We are doing this as a pre-order only. We will not be buying extra shirts to put at the event, to sell at the event. Now, there may be some there, but at this point right now, the St. Augustine Swashbucklers is making a deal to do this as a pre-order only, and the pre-order will start now, actually. Proceeds from the event this year will be going to Alia's Acres. I had a talk with their big boss over there this past Sunday, and they are excited to have us support them and do what we can for them. So if you'd like one of our t-shirts, which helps support the event, we'd love to sell you one. We are only going to have about 50 pre-order shirts available, but if the orders go even higher, we'll have more. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, swashbucklersplunder@yahoo.com. There is the PayPal or the Venmo that you can use to order you one of our t-shirts. The logo will be on the back. The front will be completely clean, nothing on it. And it is an orange, pumpkin orange shirt. how appropriate for Halloween. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that $21 is a donation. You get a t-shirt for your donation, $21 for anything XL and below. If you need a 2XL, it's $23. If you need a 3XL, it's $24. I have no control over that, ladies and gentlemen. That's just exactly the way the t-shirt companies work. So, if you'd like a t-shirt and to help support us, you don't even have to be in St. Augustine, and we will ship the t-shirt to you no matter where you're at. We hope that many of you will buy t-shirts because you're helping us. Alias Acres is a no-kill animal rescue site, and we've helped them before in the past, but there are major charity that we're working with this year. So, there it is there. That poster will be up all over social media starting this week and at Ancient City Con. Maybe we'll get a few more t-shirts sold. But join us, help us, support us, even if you can't come. Just a simple $21 donation and you get a t-shirt, and we'd be very happy to sell it to you. Thank you very much. Guys, you're doing a great job getting those things up there. I think we've reached a point. Do we have a video highlight, Mr. Longwood? Everybody's muted, so I can't hear anybody.
No, we do not.
No video highlight. All right. If we're going to mute ourselves, we have to remember to take ourselves off, too. Otherwise, we look like a bunch of... Never mind, I'm not going to say anything. I want to share something real quick before we go into our guest. Part of the show tonight is to hear your words, to hear everything about what you think of our show, including the bad if you have something to say about it. If you have something to add to it, I want you to remember two things. I try to live by this with almost everything I do, being an entertainer. There are two kinds of criticism in the world. There's constructive and destructive criticism. Constructive means you want to build something up. You want to build people up. Destructive criticism means that you're going to be disrespectful and unprofessional and tear people down. We're looking for constructive criticism tonight. Also, a very good friend of mine, he may be watching tonight. If he is, great. If not, that's okay. But he said something to me about a week ago because he made a comment about the show. And he said, I'm not trying to criticize the show. I just wanted you to know what I experienced. And then he concluded by saying it was unfair of him to criticize things beyond any person's control, meaning that he doesn't have a control over this other than his words. We have the control. And to show that we're paying attention, we do know that the echoes that have been coming through have been frustrating to everybody. So we are working on that. You'll notice that everybody's wearing some kind of a headpiece or an earpiece. I am too. We have to figure out how to make it work for here, though, because if we have guests sitting in that chair, they have to wear them too. So I have to find the contraptions and the paraphernalia to make sure that we can have more than one set of earpieces here. So, constructive or destructive? We'd appreciate constructive. Let's leave the destruction out. And please remember, in your everyday life, it is unfair to criticize anything or anyone if you have no control over what's going on. I like that. That's a good quote. I don't know if he just made it up on the fly there, but I like it, and it's going to be our quote. So, on that note, have you thought about having a credit type list run with the accounts from Patreon? Mandy, do you understand what he means?
Yes, so you know how you have your sponsors things that go up and talk about these people sponsor this, and that? Maybe do a thank you to our Patreon supporters and list our Patreon supporters.
Yep, very good. I like that idea. You know what? It's a good thing I have this piece of paper here. We should do that. So I'm writing it down because I like that idea. List Patreon supporters. We were actually considering dropping Patreon, but on that note right there, if we were to do that and give people credit, maybe it would promote more people to join us in Patreon. Because Patreon, we're only asking, I think we have two levels, Powder Monkey and what's the other level there, Davey, do you remember?
First Mate, isn't it?
First Mate. And I think Powder Monkey is $1 a month and First Mate is $5 a month. It might be worth our while to create another, there's that earpiece going out again. It might be to our benefit to create a third level and see if that doesn't help. We pull in a little money. Catherine's lost it, yeah. All right. I won't tell anybody that we've already been fitted and now are starting to wear earpiece or hearing aids now too. So let's do this. Before we get into any more questions, I want to welcome everybody as a guest to our show. Everybody. And we're looking forward to talking to everybody. And I think what we're going to do, Davey, is I'm going to go backwards through the comments, go all the way back to the beginning, and let's just start from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go to the beginning of the comments from the very start of the show. We're going to make comments to everybody and open up any conversation that happens to pop up. So, go ahead and start throwing your comments out there. We really want to know what you think. We can sit here and have a good time and think we're doing well, but we can't see it from your side, and so it might make a difference if we know what you're thinking or what you're seeing. But do make sure that you're giving us some really heartfelt thoughts. But based on what I know from our fan base right now, I don't think we have any people within our fan base that wishes us any ill will in any way, shape, or form. They just want us to keep doing more and having a good time. So that's what I want. Have a good time, because I surely do enjoy it, and I surely do enjoy sharing some of the fun we have. So going all the way back to the beginning, well, I'm going to make sure I say hello to everybody. I'm going to make sure I open the door to everybody, and we're just going to have a good time. If I lose you every once in a while, it's because this earpiece won't stay in my ear proper. I may have to go get a nail. We'll see. Parlay 8 is on board. Very good. Davey, speaking of that, let me ask you quickly right now. Wednesday night, around 10 o'clock, when are you done with, Davey is in rehearsal time for The Music Man here in St. Augustine at the Limelight Theater. There's a quick plug for what you're doing, Davey, but there it is right there. And he's in a lot of rehearsals playing in The Music Man. What is your rehearsal time on Wednesday? Do you know?
Most of our rehearsals go from 6 to 9.
Okay. Are you available then to do Chum Bucket, who is going to be one of our guests next week, is hopefully going to be on the show, and we need to do some testing with his system to our system. So if you're available at 10 o'clock Wednesday night, we'll work on that. Sure. I also have Parlay 8, which is our good friend Pirate Russo. He wants to do, we've talked about doing something, he'd like to do a test too on Wednesday night, but it's going to have to be around 9:30, I believe. So if you get home by 9:30, we'll do him first, and then we'll do Chum Bucket second. All right, very good. On that note, I see Athena Rivers is on board, and ahoy to you. It's always lovely to have you on board. Black Sails Adventures, ahoy to you too. He's up in the Carolinas, ladies and gentlemen. He was on our show last week. I do want to say something about the show, though, last week. The show problem last week was just a matter of Wi-Fi. And it was more a matter of his Wi-Fi, and somebody actually sent in a message and said, is he confused by the questions? Because it takes so long for him to answer. And it wasn't that it took so long, he was just frozen in time, ladies and gentlemen. So always remember, if you're going to be a part of the show, hey, there you go. Question, thoughts on leather versus wool tricorn hats? That's a good question. We'll get to that down the road. Let's go ahead and see who else is here. Nightingale in Florida is here. Very good. Zachary Harker from Michigan. A very good watcher of the show, supporter, follower, loyal follower of the show. Hello, everyone. Feels like it's been a few weeks. Been sick on and off. Well, I'm glad you're well and back on board the show. Let's see. Henley is watching the comments for us also, so he knows what's going on. Jay Wilson, Aerial Photography. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the one that did some of our drone shots and going to go out on the boat with us next week on September 19th and run the drone around the boat while we're out on the Matanzas Bay. That's going to be fun and get us some really great photos and videos. Plus a good friend of mine who is also on our show, who is the DJ at 105 Radio. He will be on the show with us, or on the boat with us too, taking pictures and doing video and verbal clips for radio production. Let's see what else we have here. Drop your questions below and we'll answer them. Thank you, Captain's Quarters Podcast. That would be Henley, I'm sure. Thank you very much. Jim, we know, is on board. Question. So here's the first question, Black Sails Adventure. Favorite magic trick, and sorry about last week's internet. Got it fixed, thank you. No worries about the internet and favorite magic trick. I have too many. I'm assuming you're asking me my favorite magic trick. I have too many favorites, but I think one of my favorites, I'll give you two. One of my favorites is a dollar bill fold, where I take a dollar bill or a $20 bill or whatever it is, fold it up in my fingertips right in front of your eyes and right in front of your eyes without covering it up and hiding it in any way, shape, or form. It goes 4 folds in and 4 folds out. So when it hits the fold between 4 and 5 coming back out again, it changes to a parchment paper type bill from the old days. Not real ones, but replicas. And then 9 times out of 10, I end up giving that bill away. So I just did it for a birthday party, a group of adults at the Colonial Quarter this last weekend, and I did it. And I always ask for a 20, and here's why. And I change it into a parchment bill. Most of the time they say, well, keep the 20, I want this bill for a souvenir. So it's a sneaky way for me to get a $20 tip. And as we all know, in this day and age, $20 is $20. So that's my favorite. My other favorite trick is a stage trick that I do, a trick called card on the ceiling. Person takes the card out of the deck, writes his name on it, puts it back in the deck. We wrap a rubber band around the cards and we throw it to the ceiling. The cards smack the ceiling. The cards come back down with the rubber band still intact, but the card with their signature on it is stuck on the ceiling. That's always been one of my other favorites. It has a great object lesson behind it, and I'll have to find a video. I have a video of me and my good friend T.A. Burrows doing it as a slow motion card trick. It's hilarious. We did it at the Improv a time or two, and it always got rave reviews. A slow motion card on the ceiling. Instead of me telling you about it, I'll see if I can find a video and we'll post it in the next couple of weeks. Let's see. Zachary, question. Have you thought about having a credit type? Well, we just talked about that one, so that's good. I agree with you and my crew. Always remember, you may ask a question and I have no clue what you're asking because I am not tech savvy at all. But that's why I've got Davey Longwood and Mandy Joe and Hellfire Henley. They're all younger than me, so they'll understand things a little better because as far as I'm concerned, I hate technology. But we need it, so there you have it. Let's see. So we're going to work on that supporting of Patreon. I like that idea. Let's see. Who else is out there? J.W. Wilson in Area Photography. He says, yes, never forget. Absolutely not. Never forget. And 9/11 is very important. 9/11 falls right in there with things like D-Day, JFK's assassination, and Pearl Harbor. Major events in our history of our country. Let's see. I like the interesting spot about 9/11 that Jim gave us. Very good. Shipwreck with Captain Adam Morrow. Ahoy, mate. This is on the fly, Mr. Morrow, but Mr. Morrow has just published his first book, and it's out and about, and you'll see us posting about it over the next couple of days to give him some credit and get it out there. Adam, if you're watching and catching this, give me an idea where people can find it so I can go ahead and say something right now on the show so everybody can go find your book. I believe it's Pirate Mysteries, but you can correct me on all that. Give me the whole thing there, and as we get down to that credit, we'll go ahead and make some comments about it. Ransom Mayhem is here. He says, hello, everybody. Ransom, are you in Panama City Beach or are you over in Cedar Key still? I know that you went over to Cedar Key to help some of the cleanup of Cedar Key, and we're hoping that the power of everybody working together will bring Cedar Key back to its glory. And we are putting together some things to make sure that Scarlett Deerheart, when she makes her trip over there next week, will be taking some supplies. I had somebody drop off some pets food today, so I'm sure there's some people out there that might need some pet food for their pets. Athena Rivers is there. I see that. I see J.W. Wilson here. Captain Snoo, Quebec, Canada. Aye, it is nice to see you. I was just wondering a day or two ago, hadn't seen much of you. I hope that your health is good and that you're doing well. Let us know. Tell me what you're up to. We'll talk about it right now and right here, because that's what tonight's show is all about, is letting everybody tell us what they're up to and tell us what you like. Nightingale in Florida, she says, favorite part are always to history by Navigator and topics on pirate history. Well, we will never drop those. We do the This Week in Nautical History and This Week in General History. And those seem to be very popular. And it's also easy for Mandy Joe to take those little clips and put them out there for everybody to see as individuals. So that's one of the other reasons we started doing segments, ladies and gentlemen. The segments can be broken out of the show and made into shorts, the way I understand it. And shorts get just as much activity as the show does. In fact, sometimes the shorts get more. And I'm sure that's because people's patience to sit and watch stuff is probably why the shorts do much better. Isn't that right, Mandy?
Find the unmute button. Because they're just cute little clips, but they do help with our subscriber count, actually, because they go out to more people faster. So.
And that's what we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen. We did get some messages from YouTube last week that we're getting closer and closer to monetization, which means that the show will pay for itself with a little extra, which means that I can actually take my crew out and we can all go to McDonald's and get Happy Meals. So keep putting your ideas in and watch our clips. Our video clips are a lot of fun. Some of the things we do this week at Ancient City Con will probably end up being video clips, ladies and gentlemen. We might even do... Davey, didn't we do one where we have people come over to the table and just say R?
Yes, we did.
I think we should do it again this year and put all those clips together. A whole bunch of people coming over and saying just R to our camera, and put all those clips together and we'll post it up for everybody to see. It'll make a great clip, and maybe we'll put some music behind it too. That'll be a good one. Let's see who else is here. J. Wilson Aerial Support says that the local support for the show is amazing, and I agree with you, sir. We're over 1,400 followers. I'm hoping that by next Monday night, our 100th episode, that our numbers jump up quite considerably. Well, there's always hoping and keeping it there. Mandy is always looking around at things. She has so many things going on. She is popular, and people don't know, but she is a real estate mogul out there in Utah. She has 2 parade float pirate ships. She has... How many people do you have helping you do costume events out there right now?
So my 2 pirate ships are actually fully interactive and floating amusement parks. But I have probably about 40 to 45 under Reach and probably another 15 to 20 under Utah Pirate.
And you don't just do pirate. You do other characters, costume, superheroes,
history, literacy,
princesses.
arts, anti-bullying, any sort of characters from knights, princesses, pirates to storybook characters, all of it.
What's the one most popular?
It's a combination of the superheroes and pirates.
Yeah, well, that's good. We're going to have to start making people wear masks of Captain Mayhem then. And you do a lot of this as school programs too, also for reading and history for school, right?
Yes, we spend a lot of times with schools. We're actually doing a fundraiser on Friday with the school too. So
ladies and gentlemen, Mandy and I, we hooked up in... I shouldn't use the word hook up. We met via the internet, but you came out for one of our events in 2018 or 19?
So I came out in 2019 because of your Pirate Museum stuff. We had a volunteer with my charity that got us all free airline tickets to anywhere in the U.S., and we're all like, there's a pirate museum. Let's go down there and snoop out the pirate museum. And so there was about 10 of us, I think, that came out for that. We ended up messing around like during your tour after we'd already been there for like 2 hours. And then you met with us for beer afterwards, and we all sat and chatted. And then we came back for January of 2020's Pirate Fest. I think 4 of us came back. And then, of course, lockdown went out right behind that. But
right.
Yeah. So.
And one of the ones that came out was Oliver.
Yes, Oliver came out this last time with us.
Yeah, he's a blacksmith, and so he'll be doing blacksmith demonstrations along with one of our crewmates who does blacksmithing. So they'll be doing blacksmith demonstrations during Old City Pirate Festival. It'll be a lot of fun. So we have a great history, and the best part is that Mandy's entertainment and pirate crew, they support us, and we have a good time. One of these days, when I'm not as busy as it always seems I am going to take a trip to Utah. And I'm going to bring my pirate gear, and I'm going to wear my pirate gear in Utah.
We do it all the time. There's actually, just for fun, you can go out to the salt flats and do all sorts of crazy photo shoots. If it wasn't for the rain, we talked about taking our ships out there and doing some photo shoots in the mermaid tails and pirate outfits. Well, because that's where they filmed Pirates of the Caribbean's Davy Jones's Locker was all out of the salt flats.
Well,
but there was so much rain, like it was a slippery, sliding mess.
Well, we're going to have to make plans for that, so maybe that can be something we put in the calendar for 2024. Maybe what we need to do is just get a big, giant airplane of our own and call it the Sky Pearl and fly on out there. So you never know when we come together. So let's see. Athena, she likes coming together and learning and meeting new people. That's her favorite part. Well, we love having you here for that. And Jay Wilson says 100% he agrees with that. Nightingale in Florida says we'll have to check out Chef Jason's book. Please do. If you didn't get one of your own, Nightingale, you can come over here to the house and look at Kara's book. I had the chef autograph it for Kara, so because she didn't get to go over there. Captain Smoo, to me, it was the announcement of your podcast joining the International Pirate Community's media. You know what? That's right up there in the top 3. I'll give you 3. Top 3. We're proud to be a part of the International Pirate Community's media sensation. And you know what, Davey? I don't think we actually brag about that enough, and we probably need to start figuring out a way to do something there, too. We need to let everybody know. We need to let pirates know all over the world about the media that Captain Smoo has had put together and how we are one of only... We're not the only one. There's like 15, and I could be wrong now, 15 radio or podcast shows that are in the pirate community media family, International Pirate Community Media Family. So we need to start talking about that or putting the logo up, or at least we need to put a clip or a link for their website so more people can be aware of what's going on. I know Captain Smoo is making some plans for a European trip. I don't want to put him on the spot, but if he wants to make a mention of a date, for some reason the word Brexit sets in my mind, but I could be wrong on that, so let's see what happens. Nightingale in Florida. Shameless plug, Ancient City Sirens will be performing Saturday night at Ancient City Con. Not shameless at all. I am remorse in not mentioning that. The space that we have in the lobby will be sharing with the Ancient City Sirens, and they're always a dance pleaser at Ancient City Con every year. So we want people to come out and see us. All day Friday, all day Saturday. If you happen to think about it, Davey, pop up the Ancient City Con website along the bottom there real quick for people to watch as we're doing other things here. Jay Wilson is looking forward to, I'm sure, our trip out on the water. Athena Rivers knows Alia's Acres. They're a no-kill animal shelter, and we always like to help them. Ah, look! There's one of our good crewmates and good friend, Miss Jean Fisher is here, and her wedding is November 4th, ladies and gentlemen, at the Colonial Quarter. She will be getting married to the quartermaster of the crew, Mr. Leon. So we should talk about that. And all of us that are part of the wedding are wearing kilts. Well, all the men are. The ladies aren't wearing kilts. But it'll be a good time on November 4th with a party on November 3rd. Let's see. The efforts in the audio tonight is very noticeable and a large improvement. Our ears thank you. All right. We know the direction we're going to go now, so we'll take care of that for all of our listeners. I know my crew donates $5 a month. Yes, they do, Mr. Harker, and you're absolutely right. We should be thanking people for that. Let's see. Parlay 8 is there. Hello, mate. Parlay 8, I've had conversation with them already. They've been doing things for, I believe, 8 or 9 seasons now, ladies and gentlemen. So they are seasoned pirate broadcasters. And I put an idea in their head that we should do something together. I believe that their Parlay 8, you can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your episodes and whatever the broadcasting you do is on Thursday nights. So the idea is for us to do a 2-part show. The first part on maybe their Thursday night and the second part on our Monday night thereafter, or vice versa. I think it would be a good way to bring people to both shows and to spread our good cheer. So I'm hoping that we can come up with something like that in 2024. And if it works out well, I don't see why we can't do more than one. I'm open to doing anything. Looking forward to Talk Like a Pirate Day. That comes from Jay Wilson, Aerial Photography. Black Sails. Thoughts on leather versus wool tricorn hats. All right, let's get to that one. I have both, my friend. I have a leather one, and it's quite heavy. It's quite hot. But the nice thing about it is it's quite waterproof. Wool tricorn hats. They are also hot. They're not as heavy. You can waterproof them. I think it just depends more so on the look you're going for more than anything else. Wool is the standard accepted material of hats of the day. I'm sure leather hats were made also, but sometimes it just depends. I wear a leather one now most of the time. The rest of the time I wear a wool one. The one I wear on the show is wool. It's up there and I can't actually reach it right now, but it's a wool one. So it's more your choice. I think it goes by functionality and the look of the character you're creating. At least that's what I would tell everybody what they want to wear. We in the St. Augustine Swashbucklers try to not tell people whether they are period correct or not. And this is how I look at it. If you are just starting out in the pirate world and want to do something as a pirate, I suggest you just go to the thrift stores. Buy a ragged pair of pants, not jeans, but look for, my suggestion, look for scrubs. They come in all shapes and sizes and colors, and you can slit them, you can shred them at the bottom. They're tie string, which makes it easy. You can hide the tie string by getting a piece of material to make your sash, and then an open cotton shirt. And it can be black or white, but an open cotton shirt and a kerchief for your head, because pirates wore those underneath their hat. In fact, when they were on board ship, that was basically all they wore. A pair of pants, a sash, an open shirt, and a kerchief to keep the sun off their head. They didn't have all those other things. And by the way, barefoot was the commonality of pirates. Not boots, not bucket boots. We all wear them because they look nicer. Some of them wore sandals. You can get some great rope sandals. But if you're just starting out in the pirate community, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars. You can go spend $30, $40, $50, $60, get what you need to start with, try it out a bit, and in our crew, we welcome that because I believe in the word osmosis. If you show up in something like that, and then the other pirates in the crew who are wearing more period correct garb and fancier and everything else, you'll see the attention they get, and you'll want to do that, and you will gradually, as you enjoy your time as a pirate, you will gradually up your game, improve your outfit, and have a good time. In fact, Gunfire Henley, turn your mic on.
All right.
You actually started out mundane, low key, and then you started to build up, didn't you?
Yes, and now I've returned back to being basically a deckhand because I've realized it's really hot in Florida. And the more you wear, the more you sweat.
That's it. I mean, everybody wonders how it is for me to wear so much clothing or the long coat or everything else, and it is damn hot. But Hellfire, when he first joined the St. Augustine Swashbucklers, he was a deckhand, and he started to graduate a bit. He had some great costuming, but he's learned the best time to wear those, and when we do some of our events in November and January and February, right?
Oh, yeah, when it's colder.
but
another thing I mentioned to Black Sails when they were asking about hats, and this is because my character used to wear a wool hat until I realized just how awful that is too. I actually moved to straw tricorns.
Yes.
And realized those are a lot more common than wool hats because they're a lot more cheaper, and there's basically materials to make them everywhere.
I think if you go back and you look historically, straw hats were probably more common because they were cheaper. Wool hats were bought by those that had more money.
Yep.
The other problem with wool hats, and I don't know this to be a case with straw hats, so you can tell me, but as far as wool hats were concerned, if you sweat a lot, the wool will absorb the sweat, and you're going to have to do things to keep the stink out of it.
Yep. Well, the straw, it just it doesn't trap the sweat. The sweat just rolls straight through it. But
yeah,
I don't have one yet, but I'm sure if the straw is not treated in a certain way, then the straw will probably absorb the sweat a little bit.
But they're
But I
cooler
usually
too.
wear a bandana, so
Yeah, they're cooler, and a lot of the pirates just wear a kerchief too. But it's all about functionality, which is what we're talking about now. Whether it's hot or not hot, or the sweat of the brow, and then a kerchief underneath. And we have something else too. I'll throw into this. Now, my wife doesn't do them anymore, but in time, maybe she would. If anybody wanted to ask. We have a lot of pirates that have real jobs during the day. Not everybody is as fortunate or unfortunate, however you want to look at it, as I am to be able to make my full-time living at being a pirate. So I can wear my hair out because I have no bosses to answer to. But we have friends that are pirates and they have to keep their hair short, but they want to have long hair when they're in pirate gear. My wife has taken kerchiefs and sewn, matched up, gone to places and gotten real hair, real human hair that matches them perfectly, sews it in so when they're wearing their kerchief it looks like they have long hair. And everyone she's ever made, the guys that have bought them from her, have always said that people are amazed at how close the connection is as far as how real it looks and how much it matches their real hair. So that's something that down the road I think my wife might take up again because she's getting the bug to do all kinds of things to help out. And we have several, I'll make this mention, we have about 4, 5, or 6 of the ladies of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers that have all been talking over the past several weeks, maybe if not more, a month or two, about joining forces and starting to help make garb. And we have leather workers and sewers and creators. And we may be branching out and having them create stuff for people, and they're not looking to make gobs and gobs of money. They just want to help people get good garb. And one of them has done some real fine repair work on most of my outfits. I wear the same style colors, the brocade and the red, because that's Captain Mayhem's persona. And here's the joke I tell everybody, and anybody can steal this joke if you want. I'm walking down St. George Street with my leather hat and my long coat, and I'm probably looking a bit sweaty and hot, and I'll have people come up and go, "Wow, it must be hot wearing all that." And I look at them and I say, well, I try to focus on it not being hot until somebody brings it up. So thank you very much, and then I wander off. So there you go. That's a good way to have a joke with somebody. But yes, don't spend a lot of money to start with. Get into it and see how you like it. And then start spending money and creating your character. And that's what my seminar on Sunday is going to be about, is talking about creating your character, figuring it all out. So Zachary Harker says that he favors wool or wool treated with wax. I've seen some really good wool hats that have been treated with wax. I see Facebook user Grace is on board. Very good. Parlay 8, 9:30 it is. So Davey, that's the ones we'll be meeting at 9:30, and then Chum Bucket will try to get 10:15, 10:30. All right. Athena Rivers, she prefers wool over leather. Black Sails, I prefer straw hats. That must be Mr. Hellfire. Yes, Mr. Hellfire. Straw in summer is always good. You're absolutely right. JW Ariel says 100%, but I'm not sure the 100% on which part of the whole show we're talking about, but there we go. Let's see. Don't typically commit, but I've been watching the show for a few weeks now. It's been my favorite podcast ever. Can't wait for episode 100. That comes from Random Pearson. Somebody that's been watching in the wings. Random, where are you at? Where are you located? And are you part of a pirate crew? We'd like to know more about you now that you've got our curiosity up. And we thank you very much for the comments and the compliments of this being one of your favorite broadcasts ever. We appreciate that very much. If any of my crew knows who that is, let us know. Facebook user says they're watching, but we don't know who Facebook users are, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching us from Facebook, every one of the people watching us from Facebook, it just says Facebook user. It'd be nice if it said Facebook user 1, 2, 3, and 4, but as far as we know, it's just one person, but you never know. Athena, I would love to see a few magic tricks, Captain. You know what? Maybe we'll devote an episode where I could do a few magic tricks. It'll require a reset some of the cameras so that you can see the table, and I could do some. I think that's a good idea. What do you think, Mr. Longwood?
I like it.
What do you think, Mandy? I'd like to do that. There's several magic tricks we could do, and maybe we could do something that would be in conjunction with something special that happens in the magic world. That would be a lot of fun. Maybe it could just be an episode on Captain Mayhem and his magic background. Aye, that would be a lot of fun. No time for Rob. Are you using OBS or StreamYard or something else for your stream windows?
StreamYard.
We're using StreamYard. I'm not sure what OBS is, but we're using StreamYard. And the reason we picked StreamYard, there were two reasons we picked StreamYard. The first reason was because when we first started, it just seemed to be the one that worked the best for us when we first started 2 years ago. The second reason, last year or the year before, when we did Ancient City Con, the actor who played on Star Trek Voyager, I can't remember if his real name is Wang or his character name was Wang. The Asian actor, I've been told not to say Oriental anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Asian actor. My wife tells me that Oriental means furniture. So I like that as a joke, but no disrespect intended for anybody. He suggested StreamYard also because he'd been doing the podcast already, and StreamYard was the best. So I took the advice of somebody that's already been doing it. So StreamYard's worked well for us, right, Davey?
It has.
And we're thinking about upgrading. There is an upgraded version of StreamYard that we can get. It is going to cost us a couple of extra bucks, but by doing that, we will get the use of extra cameras and extra managers working on the show. Tonight, actually, Mandy Jo is filling in, and she's doing most of the work tonight. Davey's just sitting there watching. Mandy Jo is going to be doing the work, and for the next couple of Mondays, she will be the ship's navigator during the show because Davey Longwood has some very long rehearsals coming up. So Mandy is filling in and figuring it all out. And with the new upgrade of StreamYard, we'll be able to do much, much more. Several cameras. We've been fighting the idea of trying to figure out how to do more than one camera. We've tried it a couple of times here and there, and none of it works as well as we would like, so we'll see what happens. So, there we go. StreamYard it is. Let's see. Everybody's mentioning that. Mandy uses OBS when she does gaming streaming. What is OBS?
It's just another format that lets you screen share, and you can load it through Twitch, which is usually where you find most gamers and stuff, and different platforms, and create a different recorder system out of it. So it's similar to this, but it's a different style setup. I don't know if it would work well for what you guys are doing.
Everything I've read, and over the past couple of months, I've seen a lot of reports on the different platforms for podcasting, and StreamYard seems to be at the very top of the list. So
yeah, OBS isn't necessarily a podcast. It's more of a
Right.
streamer's setup, which does a lot of live, but it's more or less geared for like one or a couple people playing into a game system. So your screen for everybody playing with everybody talking over here.
And I see Athena is agreeing with you that OBS is great for streaming while gaming. I think we've got the great program here this does everything we need plus some, and I think we're happy. And I don't see any chance that we're going to do anything else. Ransom Mayhem said he just got back to Panama City today, but we'll be back there this coming weekend. Aye. So a lot of work is going on. Yes, they need pet food and food for the food pantry and cleaning stuff. So Ransom Mayhem, I've got some cleaning stuff already. I've got some food pantry stuff, and I've got some pet food. I think I got about 30 or 40 pounds of pet food. So we'll be putting all that together. Captain Joseph Black Joe Bart. Ahoy, to all from Quebec. Hey, somebody else from our neighbors up north. Aye, and speaking of our neighbors up north, we have friends in Halifax also. They're not always watching the show, but I do want to give them a quick shout out and say, hey, there's a storm on the way and you may get it. It's not going to hit us, but it's going straight your direction. I hope that the reporters and the weathermen are right in saying that it's not going to be a hurricane once it hits you, but it's still going to rise the waters. So grab your rum, kick up your feet, and wear it out. Aye. Let's see. Having voiceover for this week in history has been a great addition. Yes, Zachary, one of the reasons we do that is because if people were to listen to our show when we did the This Week in History, or when we do nautical history, when we do those things, if you listen to us on Stitcher, iHeart, Castbox, Apple Pod, or Music, if you're listening to the show, when it comes to those parts, you don't hear anything but music. And so we had to start putting voice to it. And since Davey is setting up most of these things, he does a great job with the narration of all those things. And Davey has stage theater presence and experience, so he does a great job, and I'm happy to let him continue on with doing that. We've talked about putting my voice on a few of them also, but it would require me to go to Davey's house and do it, so we could do it together. And who knows, we may just change some things there and add to it. We also do it for our thank you video at the end of the day, or the end of the show. And I'm looking at making one change to our thank you video, and that is to have each one of the crew, Mandy, Joe, and Hellfire, and Davey, and myself, each one take a different panel and put their voice to it, so all four of our voices are in the thank you video at the end of the day. But right now, with everything going on, we're going to keep on the course we're at, and we'll go from there. So, Black Joe Bart, where are you, besides being in Quebec? Nightingale, love your idea and can be an idea to translate into French. Let's see. Nightingale says, will you have an episode on medical history? How the sailors and pirates treated their wounds and diseases, etc. You know what? I like that idea, and now the answer is, which episode will we do? I think a medical history, naval medical history would be what we would call it, and we would talk about not just what pirates did, but sailors did, and let's do that one. I like that idea, and in fact, I got my paper here to note, naval medical history. And I'm going to task you, Nightingale, to do a chore. Here's the idea. Your chore is this. Find out in 2024 any Monday that's close to some significant medical mark in history. And then that week is the week we'll do, if it works out, that week will be the week we do the show on medical history. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things, and I throw this out there to you, one of the things we like to do is try to figure out something that's happened in that week of the show. For example, when my son was here on June 3rd visiting from Alabama, and he's a history teacher, it just so happened that June that week was D-Day. So we brought him on and he got to talk about D-Day. We've done the same thing with Pearl Harbor. We've done the same thing with Mother's Day, the same thing with Valentine's Day. I try to look at the calendar and see if there's anything significant that we can make our show about that makes it more appropriate for the calendar and for our show. Because we're not just talking about pirate history here, although we could, but we made a determination at the very beginning, and Mr. Longwood, who has been with us since the very beginning, the determination was that if we were to just do pirate history, our show would probably only last a couple of years. That's why we add other things. We don't want just pirates to come and be a part of our show. We want everybody to be a part of our show. And we hope that we put things in the show, in our segments and in our categories that appeals to everybody. At least everybody gets a little something out of every show. And that's the way I like to do it. So, there it goes. Let's see what happens. I see a message from Logan Spencer up in Savannah. Captain, there seems to be a trend with your friendship origins. Beers together and great personalities. Yes, that's true. And I'll tell you something, Logan, I met somebody this past weekend. He was on my tour here in St. Augustine with his family, and he is the, let me think what he was. He is the head, he's the banquet captain of the JW Marriott up there in Savannah. And he was telling me, I guess it's a new property, and he was telling me about the great pirate artwork that's in the hotel. If you happen to have a chance to go and take some pictures, I'd love to see them, but I'm now making some plans that maybe I'll go visit Savannah. But he now has my information because he thinks that he might be able to come up with a couple of corporate gigs that I could come up to Savannah and work. If that happens, well, then you're going to have to come over to the JW Marriott and have a beer or two with me. But I'm always open to travel and I do a combination magic, history, comedy show. It's a solo act, just me, on the stage, and we have a good time. I just did it last weekend, or last Friday, for a retirement community, and it went over well, and I hope to do some more. I'll start promoting those for 2024. Let's see who else is in there. Captain Quarters podcast. Davey, not Davey. Gunner, are you answering this Captain's Quarters podcast, or is Mandy? Gunner, all right. So Gunner says, I have one word for you. Amputation. I like that. Maybe we should do a live amputation on the show. There was always alcohol involved. They are pirates. Well, of course we are, Athena. You're absolutely right. Black Sails has another question. Would you all entertain a podcast live on location? Maybe an audio only one or a live one? We actually have done 2 so far. One, it wasn't all that great. We learned some lessons. We were just starting out. We did it with on St. George Street. We did it with Augie's Draft Beer location. I think, and this is me personally, I think the reason it was not as good is because we did not anticipate the degree of quality of camera and sound that we actually needed to do it. It did not come out well for us. We had the same issue when we did Ancient City Con last year. Sound was an issue for us, trying to get sound because there's so much going on, so we've been working on that. The one we did that actually worked out well, and we're going to do it again. I just talked to the owner of Dick's Wings. In November, we do a live broadcast on site at Dick's Wings as a Christmas holiday party for the St. Augustine Swashbucklers and anybody else that wants to come out. And we do the show live there while we're doing some of the other things we do to raise money for our charity. So that's already set, and I do not remember the date that's set for, but I believe it's like the Monday, 2 Mondays before Thanksgiving, I believe is the date, but we'll put that up. In fact, when we go up here and talk about some of the other things we're doing, it'll be on that list, so we'll talk about that. But we're always looking at ideas to do live broadcasts. If you're thinking Black Sails to do something while you're on location up in the Carolinas, to do it from you to us as a live, I think we could talk about that. It might be kind of interesting to do. I think it would be a lot of fun. Might also be a good excuse to send Captain Mayhem to North Carolina and still do the show. So we'll see what happens. So good question. I like that one. And it opens us up to other things. Live broadcast. We've considered it quite often. Hi, Tinker and Annette are watching now. It's good to see them on board too. Very good. Let's see. Who else is here? Mandy Jo. She says, because I'm at my work office, my personal chat is on a different computer to the side of me. I'm usually checking backside of YouTube stats during the podcast. See, she's multitasking. And that's pretty good. Shipwreck with Captain Morrow asks, does Gunnar Henley have an inner forearm tattoo? Aye. That's a good one. Very good one. Let's see. Amputation, yes, sadly, too common. Absolutely right. And since we're talking of amputation, let's talk about this real fast as far as pirate history. Hooks for hands and pegs for legs were not just pirate, ladies and gentlemen. Books like Treasure Island made that famous for pirates and made it the stereotype of pirates. But please consider, when you're talking about history, common sense and human nature should be considered when you're talking about history. So here's the common sense part. Prior to cannons and gunpowder and guns, all wars were fought with edged instruments. Swords, knives, axes, spears, whatever. In that case, many legs and arms and fingers and hands and toes and feet were severed. So stumps and pegs and hooks and whatever were quite common throughout the entire world. But the stereotype from Treasure Island of 1883 and Long John Silver from 1956 were starting of the stereotype for pirates to wear those things. Not a bad thing. So many people will ask me, why don't I have a hook for a hand or a peg for the leg? And I always tell them, those kind of pirates are usually unlucky and we don't want them in our crew. Let's see. Athena. Heavens, if I try work at my office beyond podcast and video, you'd hear livestock screaming in the background. Well, that could be an interesting thing. Livestock in the background. Jean said, thank you. I'm sure it's because we mentioned her wedding, her nuptials. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a grand party. Let's see. Shipwreck with Captain Morrow. The Salt Flats is where they also filmed Pirates of the Great Salt Lake in 2006. Great film if you want a Napoleon Dynamite feeling pirate comedy film. Never heard of it, but now I'm going to go look for it. That sounds like it might be kind of fun. Don't let Tink dance. We're not going to let you dance, that's for sure. Captain Black Joe Bart, Captain's Quarters. That can be an idea to talk about the idea of our mates to include French and English in the pirate magazine. We'd love to. I've written articles for other magazines on pirate history, so I'd love to add something to what you're doing, and even maybe something dedicated to you guys up there. Captain Smoo, your wish. Black Joe Bart, your wishes are command. We'll try to do what we can. I'm all about seeing those dance moves. No, you're not. No, we don't want to watch Tink dance. All right. Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. That's Parlay 8. Our YouTube channel, like the show, is called Pillage Overload. Looking forward to coming up with a plan. Yes, Parlay 8, I am looking forward to the same thing. I think we could have some fun with it and combine our two cruises, our two ships, our two crews together in something that will work for both of us, because after all, if we share, we might do even better. Gene Fisher says cotton, thrift store finds. You're absolutely right. Long sleeve button down shirts made great vests. Also true, very true. Parlay 8, I've seen your show a few times completely by random chance on my feed. It's very enjoyable. So, Henley, you've seen their show. I've done some research on it now. We have a possibility with their blessings to work with them. But we give them the honor because they've been at this longer than us. So we'd love to join with you and see what we could do. A benefit of living in Michigan, we can really add on the layers. I bet you can. The nice thing, I'm not going to say that, never mind. Sometimes I think of things and then I decide I better not say something. Morrow says he has a leather as well from Pirate's Wife as to wool. I prefer the wool for accuracy and weight. That being said, there are examples of a few leather hats from the period, though not necessarily in a cocked fashion, but I have a leather one I'm very much a fan of, regardless of weight. Pirate's Wife is an amazing hat maker. The Davy Jones Trigorn is to die for. Hellfire, send me a link to their sometime down the road. I'd like to see what they have. I'm considering some new hats. Zachary Harker, I treat my wool hot smell with campfire smoke. Aye, a great idea. Aye, they should bottle that campfire smoke so we can spray it on ourselves. Zachary, I think campfire smoke can hide almost anything if burning long enough. Absolutely right, as long as it's not burning you or you step in the fire. Everybody's liking the idea of campfire smoke. It smells good, honestly, depending on wood. You know what's even better? Gunpowder smoke. I like that. There's nothing better than the smell of gunpowder. Don't let melted butter on your hot still smell after 3 years. Yeah, you're probably right there. Woohoo, awesome comment. Which comment was she thinking was awesome? That's Parlay 8 says, that's great. Bring your friends. We love doing it. Yes. Try to clean, but I am okay with the smell. Give age and story. You're absolutely right, Blackjack or Black Joe Bart. Sometimes a little bit of smell in the outfit is not bad. But we always have to remember, and I do have to say this, we always have to remember, we are performers, we are not real pirates, so we have to make sure that we figure out exactly where the smell should start and the smell should end. Jeannie Fisher is thanking Mandy for something. She loves you. That's good. Hey, again, I'm down in West Palm. I'm just some history buff that has a love for pirates. I visited the Pirate Museum near the beginning of August and was watching ever since. My name's Atlas. Did we meet? Atlas, that sounds familiar. I think we did meet, but correct me if I'm wrong. Coconut oil would work good for waterproofing and cleaning your straw hat. There's a good thought. And it'll make you smell good, especially if you pour rum on it, too. I enjoyed tonight, but fever returned. Good night, all. Well, get better, Athena. We hope that you rest up and are well and get some rest. Captain Black Joe Bart, we'll see in the Gasper Peninsula for the weekend with the storms will hit us, and for sure I will wait with rum after the storm. Hey, I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe we'll just turn on StreamYard and get some of the people up there during the storm to sit and just chat and blather while we drink rum over all the distance. So we'll see what happens. AKA gunpowder as a blood clotting agent. I think it was more than blood clotting there, my friend. I think it was pretty much a sealer of everything. Benjamin from the crew of the Charles Revenge is an expert on naval history. Great at spending as well. I will have to bring him aboard. And we've met him. I met him at the event, at Adam Morrow's event in April of this past year. And Logan says they have gorgeous pirate artwork there. I'm going to have to do some. I have some to send you. Good. Send us some pictures. We'll talk about it. Can we do a podcast from Panama City? Not really. And the reason we can't, we could do some clips, some video clips, and then we send them over to Longwood, but doing a podcast from Panama City tends to be a problem because, one, I'm not tech savvy, and we need certain extra equipment. But we could do video clips and then send them to Davey, and then Davey and Mandy Joe can do something with them. Monday the 13th. I have no idea what that means. Different segments are good. It also is a good way of getting more across of your personality as a person. I do a lot of pirate history, and I always try to remember to convey some of me as a person. You're absolutely right, Captain Morrow. You want the people to like you as a character and a person, because then they'll be more apt to want to pay attention and be a part of what you're doing. Captain Morrow, pirate themed. I can't see that. Gaslands. Right. So I've reached the end of our comments. That's pretty good. That gave us a lot of show talk and lots of good comments, lots of good thought. We actually, Davey, how many people do we have the ability to put on the show at one time?
12, but they'd be real tiny box.
Yeah. If we up our our abilities by buying the upgraded version? Does it give us more people?
It does, but it gives you the ability, like you could swap people in and out.
And maybe the next time we do one of these shows, that's what we do, is we just let a whole bunch of people get on the show. And then you guys will just have to play juggling and pop their face up when they're talking and see if we can do that. I think it would be a lot of fun. November 13th, 2 Mondays prior to Thanksgiving. Thank you, Gene. I appreciate that. Very good. On that note, I believe it is time for us to do a couple of other things, like This Week in Nautical History. Are you ready, Mandy? Pop her out there. This Week in Nautical History.
Look at the brand, Mandy.
I pushed a stupid button and it locked my screen out for a second, so hold on a second.
All right, it's okay. No worries. That's why this is a relaxed show. You gave me a podcast pin, and since I had some pins on me, I gave you a crew pin back. We'll definitely come back.
Welcome to This Week in Nautical History, sponsored by our friends at Florida Water Tours. Experience the intercoastal waterway at its finest, featuring picture-perfect attractions. We begin this week in nautical history in the year 1620. The Mayflower departs Plymouth, England, with 102 pilgrims and about 30 crew for the New World. In 1624, first submarine publicly tested in London on the Thames for King James I. 1631, Admiral Tholen conquers 30-plus Spanish frigates. 1716, first lighthouse and American colony lit at Boston Harbor. 1782, the grand assault on Gibraltar by the Allied French and Spanish fleets included 10 floating batteries, and land forces is heavily defeated by the British garrison with all of the floating batteries destroyed and Allied casualties of 1,473 compared to only 83 for the British. 1814, Battle of Lake Champlain, New York. American Navy defeats British. 1819, first whaling ship arrives in Hawaii. 1835, HMS Beagle with Charles Darwin on board reaches the Galapagos Islands. 1858, Hamburg, U.S. ship Austria catches fire and sinks. 471 die. And finally, in 1941, FDR orders U.S. Navy that any Axis ship found in American waters will be shot at on sight. And that was This Week in Nautical History.
Very good, Davey. Very good. You make a good video for the things that we talk about in This Week in History. I see a few more comments come up. Ransom Mayhem says he bet he could find someone here in Panama City to set up some kind of a podcast for all the pirates, sponsored by Pirates of the White Sands. So here's a suggestion that we could do. At the period correct encampment, I could make a poster and we could have people come and sit with the captain's Mayhem, both you and me, and we just advertise specific times and people come and we just have a brief 4 or 5 minute spot that we do all the videos, and then we use those videos on Captain's Quarters podcast over the next couple of weeks. That would be the easier way. That's actually how we're going to do almost everything for Ancient City Con. It is easier just to set up a camera or use a cell phone and set up a microphone system and then do that. And it makes it much more easier. Random Pearson said that he did meet, and we did meet, and I do remember the name Atlas was, and you gave me a pin, and we traded pins, and you'll definitely come back. We'd love to have you back, and let's talk about more things that we could do. You're way down there in the south, but let's join. The captain was cut pretty fast. I enjoyed the last time we had an open invite for people to jump onto the podcast. And who was asking about a podcast in Panama City? I think that was Grace, and Grace will be a part of our crew. Just to let you know, we have 16 17 pirates coming to Panama City for our event. That's official as of this morning. There you go. Another Facebook user says hello, but I have no idea who that is. On that note, hey Davey, how about this week in history? Sponsored by our good friends at Dick's Wings. If you want a good sandwich or a good hot dog, by all means, go to Dick's Wings. And let me tell you something. I already had a conversation with him. Two things are about to happen with Dick's Wings. One, he wants to go ahead and buy on for another year's of sponsorship with this crew. I'm happy for that. And he supports Spooktacular and Old City Pirate Fest as well. And, well, he's interested in the idea that on Monday nights, his big screen TV in the sports section, he'd like to turn on YouTube and see if our Captain's Quarters podcast will go live every Monday night at Dick's Wings so people could go down there and watch us. And if that happens, we'll make some shout-outs and maybe figure out a way to do a free drink for somebody or something. We'll figure it out. But that would be kind of cool. And that was Ashley Howe out on the West Coast area. And she is a big follower of ours. Good to see you, love. Nice to have you aboard. Go ahead, Davey. Let's do This Week in History.
Mandy.
Welcome to This Week in History, sponsored by our good friends at Dick's Wings Bar and Grill. Wings, salads, wraps, quesadillas, and more. No matter what your taste buds crave, they've got you covered. We begin This Week in History in the year 1503. Michelangelo begins sculpting the 12 Apostles for the Cathedral of Florence, over life-size marble statues of which only one was partially finished, that of St. Matthew. 1814. Francis Scott Key pens the poem Defense of Fort McHenry, later known as the Star-Spangled Banner, while witnessing the bombardment of Fort McHenry from a ship in Baltimore Harbor. 1847. First singing of Stephen Foster's O Susanna in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 1857. Mountain Meadows Massacre. Mormons dressed as Indians murder 120 colonists in Utah. 1901. Theodore Roosevelt is sworn in as the youngest man to serve as U.S. President after William McKinley finally dies after an anarchist shoots him in Buffalo. Then in 1916, Clarence Saunders opens Piggly Wiggly, the first self-service supermarket in Memphis, Tennessee. In 1920, the Wall Street bombing occurs at 12:01 when a horse-drawn wagon explodes on Wall Street, New York, killing 38 and injuring 143. 1941. Construction of the Pentagon begins in Arlington County, Virginia. Completed January 15th, 1943. Designed by architect George Bergstrom and built by contractor John McShane. Construction was overseen by Leslie Groves. In 1959, American Western series Bonanza, starring Lauren Green, Dan Blocker, and Michael Landon premieres on NBC TV. Then in 1964, Bewitched premieres on ABC TV. In 1967, The Carol Burnett Show, starring Carol Burnett, premieres on CBS TV in the U.S. Also in 1967, American rock band The Doors appear for the first and last time on The Ed Sullivan Show. Singer Jim Morrison reneges on promise to change a lyric, prompting producers to offer no further invitations. Then in 1977, the Atari 2600, originally known as the Atari Video Computer System, is released in North America, revolutionizing the video game industry. 1977, first TV viewer discretion warning on the TV sitcom Soap. In 1983, U.S. Mint strikes first gold coin in 50 years, featuring the Olympic Eagle. In 2001, two passenger planes hijacked by Al-Qaeda terrorists crashed into New York's World Trade Towers, causing the collapse of both and the deaths of 2,606 people. 2005, Supernatural debuts on the WB, starring Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, longest-running North American fantasy series. And then finally, in 2014, Farm Aid, held in Raleigh, North Carolina. Performers include Willie Nelson, John Mellencamp, Neil Young, Dave Matthews, Jack White, Gary Clark Jr., Preservation Hall Jazz Band, Jamie Johnson, Tal Snyder, and Carlene Carter. And that was This Week in History.
Aye, great job there. Aye, some of those shows, I'm a big fan of the Carol Burnett show. Huge fan. Those were great shows, and Bewitched. Always a great show, too. So Ransom Mayhem says he has about 20 to 23 period correct tents. Ransom, just so you know, we will be setting up 2 tents and 2 flies. We will run the Pirate Museum that I'm bringing along out of that, and our ship's store as part of it. And we've got a few other things. I made an offer to the people that are running it that I might sit and do period correct magic tricks on occasion across the barrelhead, but I may need to get a couple extra barrels and some planks. If you happen to have some extra, let me know. We'll see what we can do. I think we've almost reached the end of our show, and I was afraid that this would be a short show, but ladies and gentlemen, it's not a short show. We're at the hour-and-a-half mark, and I have found out that some of our shows, almost all of our shows, as long as we just relax, sit back, and have a good time, our shows are hour-and-a-half or so long, which gives us much more stuff to clip out and make shorts. Right, Mandy? We will be at Ancient City Con all weekend. We'll set up on Thursday night, and we will be there all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Come on out if you're in the area and come be a part of what we're doing. On that note, how about guests on deck? There it is. Let's see, where are we at there? We are at September 11th, which was a surprise special, and I do have to say, unfortunately, due to circumstances and health issues, everything I wanted to do just fell through over the weekend. It happens. It's the entertainment world. I understand it, and believe it or not, I'm not upset about it in any way, shape, or form. I still have respect for everybody that is working with our show. Next week is our anniversary show and the big Talk Like a Pirate event. Chum Bucket is going to be a part of our show, and we'll be doing tests on that to make sure he's good to go. And he is one of the originators of Talk Like a Pirate Day. I'm still working on getting some musicians in, and Scarlett Deerheart will be here. On 25 September, we'll be doing something with the Humane Society for their Pin-Up Paws event. October 2nd, and Colby, we're going to do a whole episode on Wicked in St. Augustine, a book that she wrote. Morgan Lanny, if she's still around, we want her to come on and talk about ghost tours. Carol Busby will be here, the history of women pirates. We're going to promote Spooktacular, have a Halloween special, tasting tours of St. Augustine, Dick's Wings Live. On the 13th, there it is. Diane Hammond, St. Nicholas himself may be here. Pearl Harbor special once again. You never know what we got going on. Keep up, but as always, each show could change. But we'll see how it goes. We'd love to bring other people from the show or onto the show from the West Coast. I do realize that the time frame causes problems, but it's still entertainment, and we can have a good time. Let's see. Joke of the week. That would be a good thing to do. Do we have a reveal of the joke of the week?
Okay, it's time for the answer to the joke of the week. How did the pirate afford such a big ship? The answer is, it was on sale.
Aye. Yeah, notice that Davey Longwood is laughing at that one. Aye. Very good. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we like to say thank you, but we have decided that doing thank you via a video may be a much nicer way to do things so that we don't miss anybody. So, Mandy, Joe, do we have a thank you video to share with everybody?
The Captain Quarters Podcast is indeed a ship sailing the seas of the world, always in search of history, knowledge, and adventure. It takes a crew to run a ship, so we'd like to take this opportunity to thank those who help keep the ship afloat. Our sponsors: St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum, Dick's Wings Bar and Grill, Spyglass Travel, Ancient City Sirens, Rikers Reenactors, Paper and Strings, Shiver Me Pictures, and Florida Water Tours. The supporting cast and crew: Captain William Mayhem, Navigator Davey Longwood, Gunner Hellfire Henley, Cartographer Mandy Joe, Juan Cam, and of course our Powder Monkey. Helping others gives the crew purpose. The 4 major charities we support, with always room for more, are Inc., Investing in Kids, St. Johns County Fire Cadets, SAYS, St. Augustine Youth Services, and the Humane Society. You too can be part of the crew and support the show in many ways. Go to Patreon, support us with a small monthly contribution as Powder Monkey or First Mate memberships. Go to YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button to join our ranks and support the show. Or a single contribution which helps with other expenses of the show. Thank you. It does take a crew.
Very good, Davey. One more plug for Pirates of the White Sands out there in Panama City, Florida. That event is in October. Logan Spencer, if you're not doing anything else, come on down and hang out with us. Many of us crewmates will be camping in period correct camps. I may have a space of ground you can hang out on, but it will be a good time. Very good. A message just popped up. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are at the end, which is the time for us to let you know. If you want to be a part of our show and watch us every Monday night at 8 o'clock, you can watch us live on YouTube. There's the QR code. You can catch us on Spotify or Instagram. I can't tell you how many times I give away cards to people that have taken my tour, and they say when we're driving home to whatever point of the compass they're at when they come to Florida and then they're going home, they listen to the show on their drive across the continent. Stitcher, iHeart, CastBox, Apple Pod, and Music Amazon. You can listen to us. That's one of the reasons we've changed some of the things with our segments, so you can hear things too. We're always looking for additions and ideas. If you are the captain of a pirate crew and want us to talk about your events coming up, please send us an email. Once in a while I see some events that pop up, but if you just think that I'm going to be a great pirate magician and know what's happening, well, that's not always going to work. Send us a message. We're happy to promote any pirate cruise events. All you have to do is send us a message. Please don't send me a message and say, hey, why didn't you support this crew, their event? I'm going to tell you why. If you didn't advertise it on our Facebook pages, and we have 3 or 4, you didn't advertise it at all or ask permission to advertise it at all, then we may not know about it. Just because you put it on Facebook doesn't mean everybody sees it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want our help, and we love to help, we'll promote your event. And if we have an evening with not much on it, we'll give you some extra face time on this event. We can bring you in and let you talk about your event. We're happy to do so. But you have to ask. You have to parlay with us. We can't just assume. So, anybody at all that wants to do anything. We have 1,407 subscribers as of now. We're getting 1.9K views. That's 1,900 views a week. Our watch time is 448.8 hours a week. That's pretty good. There are some of our most favorite top videos. Looks like Black Sails has hit the top there. Look at that. A couple of others. There's our email, captainsquarterspodcast21@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you send a message, and I tell people, if you send a message and you want it to be in attention to me, Mr. Longwood and Mr. Henley, they check the messages, and anything that comes in that's directed towards me, they'll send me over or give me a high up, and we'll go ahead and get part of it. So, we want you to be a part of the show in every way, shape, or form. We can't do it without you, and as we always say, well, Blackjack, or Black Joe, I've done it again, Black Joe, Oh, Ransom Mayhem wants me to make sure we repeat the date. Pirates of the White Sands Pirate Festival, which is the Pirates of the High Seas in Panama City Beach, Florida, is October 6th, 7th, and 8th. I myself will be over there with a couple of my crew on the 5th to set up our tents. And then we will be there until the 9th. So come on out and have a good time with us. I know there are other pirate crews from other areas, and maybe a week or two out, Ransom Mayhem, let's do some promotion for your event. Black Joe Bart says, wish you a good week, and like we say in France, bon vent, that means good win to all. Bon vent. I'll keep that in mind. I like that. I'm learning other languages as we go along. Mr. Davey, good show. Mandy, good job. Give her some applause. She did a good job. I have a good crack crew here. They keep an eye on everything. They watch the captain's back, and they are the reason that this show is so good. I'm just the pretty face. Barely. I have a good crew doing good things to make this show successful, and that's what it's all about. As we always say, it takes a crew, and this is the way we sign out. Davey, give it to us.
Part of the podcast.
Mandy.
Part of the crew.
Right. And always, Mandy, right?
Yes, always.
Always. Very good. A great show, an hour and 40 minutes. I always say, if we have a good show, it'll go over an hour. If it's just me, this is one of those rare occasions where it wasn't just me, it was all of you being a part of our show. Thank you all very much. We look forward to seeing you next week. Come see us at Ancient City Con, or tune in to us on September 18th for our Talk Like a Pirate Day episode. On that note, cheers to all. Down the rum.